Every other year we give West High biology students an opportunity to go and see biology firsthand, to be able to experience as many microcultures as I could possibly imagine in one area in a 2-week period of time.
So when we first landed in Ecuador, we spent 3 days, I believe, in Quito, which is the capital city.
When we actually came in on our plane, we saw lots of lights in the night, and I didn't realize that it was mountainous and that those lights were on the mountains until the morning when I woke up and I looked out my window.
Next day we went to the Teleferico and got to oversee the whole city. It was a really pretty ride up. You couldn't really see where it ended. It just seemed like it went on forever. Quito surprised me because it was so big. From up above, it just looked like it went on for miles.
I got altitude sickness, but it's alright. It wasn't too bad. Just drank a lot of water. Because in Quito, there's a lot of changes in elevation. It doesn't stay at a constant level, which is hard for people who have altitude sickness, but it's worth it.
We did a hike the next day in the Antisana Mountains and volcano area.
So we went to the equator line, which was really cool, and we tried balancing eggs on it and stuff. We went to the market around there and got a chance to buy stuff from the local people.
And then one of the highlights I see of the trip is we actually go up over the Continental Divide, through the Andes Mountains, and then come down on the other side, making our way to the Amazon.
From Quito, it was a 4-hour bus ride to a port city called Coca.
We took a break from riding in the bus and went to a hot springs, and then we hiked a little bit. When we got to Coca, we stayed there for a night, and then in the morning we left on motorized canoes and traveled on those for about 2 hours. And then we got off the motorized canoes and onto actual canoes that would take us over a lake and into La Selva Lodge, which is the resort we stayed at.
And we spend 4 days experiencing the jungle firsthand. We go out on 2 excursions every day, walking through the jungle, learning about indigenous people, learning about the history, learning about just how biology and how every living thing is interdependent. It's an amazing opportunity. I think in the jungle it really gives students an opportunity to see their place in this biosphere. It allows them the opportunity to get away from a lot of things that kind of pull and tug at us here and let them just really get connected with the biosphere, with the earth, with nature.
It was almost overwhelming because there were so many different new things that I'd never even seen before. when we went to a school, and we sang and we danced with the kids, and we learned about the village that the school was in, and it was my favorite part because the mentality there was so different, and people valued different things, and it was really a lesson in that we have a lot of things and we don't really appreciate.
One of the most interesting things in the rainforest was their treetop observatory, at which you could climb up to a level that was above the canopy of the trees and you could see absolutely everything. So you got to witness lots of cool birds, monkeys, and other wildlife.
There was a vine that we saw and we got to swing on this vine, kind of like a Tarzan deal. That was cool.
We did fish piranhas, some of us caught them, and we were allowed to eat them at dinner at the lodge.
I didn't catch any, but I know some people did. I'm kind of glad I didn't catch any. And then we swam in the same water where we were fishing for the piranhas. Then we went out the same way back on the canoe, took a really, really long bus ride, lots of curves and kind of motion sickness going on, back to Quito, and then got on planes to the Galapagos.
Once we are on the Galapagos Islands, we get onto a ship, and on the ship, we actually travel and tour around the islands. Now, it depends which year, which route we actually take, which islands we visit, but the islands, the Galapagos Islands, the archipelago, is an absolutely amazing, beautiful, once-in-a-lifetime experience. It has so much energy from the ocean, the waves, the current coming up from Antarctica. It is an incredible place, and the diversity of life that exists there, you don't see anywhere else. In the classroom, we get to talk about diversity, we get to talk about interdependence, we get to talk about evolution. When you're on the islands, you actually get to see firsthand.
When we were in the Galapagos on the cruise ship, every morning we'd wake up and you'd have two activities a day. You'd have a morning activity and an afternoon activity.
First day we went to Espanola. We saw a lot of birds there, like the booby birds and the albatross. And then we went to Floriana Island, and that's where we got to see the post office.
And it's pretty much just a wooden mailbox. What you do is you can put a postcard in there that you fill out, but you don't put a stamp on it. And when other people come the next time, if they live near you, they can take your postcard and they have to hand deliver it to. Usually you don't get them back, but a few days ago I got mine back from this lady, Phyllis, and she had gone there at the end of June after we had, and she just said that it was like an awesome trip and she loved the sea lions too. And she lives in Clinton and she was really glad someone close to her had been there too to experience the awesome place Galapagos is.
And then the last day we went to Santa Cruz, and that's where you get to see all the giant tortoises. I really liked the Galapagos Islands, and probably the coolest thing was the snorkeling and when a sea lion swam up next to me, and it surprised me, but it was like so cool and surreal. I got to see so many cool things when I was snorkeling. There were tons of fish, and we saw a sea turtle, and it looked like something out of Jurassic Park.
It's so cool how you can be close to the animals. You'll just be walking around town, there'll be like sea lions on the benches and stuff, and you can just go up next to them, and like when you're on the islands you can just walk up to the booby birds and they won't fly away. They're not scared of humans, which is really awesome. It just shows what the animals and the environments will be like if humans didn't affect them.
Okay, so one of our last nights in the Galapagos on the cruise ship, we had a play on the ship, and it was really quickly done, made in about 20 minutes, and pretty low quality, but very fun to participate in for sure.
And then the last day we took the dinghy off of the ship and got back on a plane to Quito, and then slept there and got back the next day.
Our guide for the entire tour was Yvonne, who had the most beautiful, luscious, flowing locks I had ever seen in my life.
Food, I'd say on the trip was an A+. We always were fed a lot.
There were some really exotic things we experienced. There was a market outside of Quito that served grubs.
And they basically just tasted like any other meat, but the idea of it in your head was kind of gross.
Probably the most special thing that happens is the group of kids, the teachers, the chaperones. You become one family in a way. then, we spend that last evening together preparing to go back and be put back into mainstream American society. It's an absolutely amazing experience.